Okay, so what I got here is a brand new product, pretty newish from Harbor Freight, and I haven't seen any reviews on this yet, so I thought I would just do a quick unboxing and initial review on this. So basically what this is a kind of an upgraded model. So we know that Bauer is kind of Harbor Freight's, they're good, better, best kind of thing. So Bauer is positioned above the Central Machinery kind of brand, their low-end brand, and this is kind of the next step up from that. So I believe the same model which they've had out for a long time in Central Machinery brand, I believe that's about $89, and this is $129. So you're paying a little extra, but as with most of these things for Harbor Freight, you pay a little bit more, you get a little bit more. Right off the bat, looking at the web page and kind of some specs, it looks like this one has it's got a larger motor in it, so it's like a 4.3 amp as opposed to a 3.6 amp. I think it's on the Central Machinery, and I think this has a little bit larger table. The table is also smooth, and the other one has ridges on it. It's got like an easier lever to use to unlock the belt. It's got a couple more covers, and I think it's also got this suction port here for dust. So let's go ahead and get this thing unboxed, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so we got the manual, just a simple manual, nothing crazy there. Lift the lid out here. Alright, so it looks like there's even already a belt on it. So we've got the table here. So it looks like the table and the clamp-on mechanism for the table. So it's a decent table. It looks like it's cast aluminum. So nothing too strong, too crazy here. I think this is just the bolt to attach it. Alright, I kind of move this off to the side here and lift the sander out. Okay. It's like in the bottom of the box we've got the bevel gauge that rides on the table there, and I believe this is the work stop for the belt. Looks like that's all that's in the box. Okay, so this kind of looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and get this off of here. Looks like mine might have been resealed, so yours may or may not come with this belt already installed on it. But there you have it. Looks like we got a block of wood under here. Just like a block of wood in a bag, just I guess to keep this thing from bouncing around. It looks like this has to be loosened up, and that'll let you tilt this. Yeah, it's gonna be a 6mm. So I loosen this up, yep, and sure enough, you can set this to whatever height, and that just clamps down right there. It seems to hold pretty sturdy. And then right over here we've got the sanding disc, and then the table, I believe, mounts to the side here, so you can angle this table up and down. And it looks like there's also a mount on the side here too, so this table can drop in here and can also be used on the belt if you mainly use the belt and you just need to set it at a certain angle. So that's pretty versatile. There's a little rubber stop down here, and that will it'll keep this thing from going down too far past 90. You got your simple on-off switch, lock, and a nice cover. I like this one a little bit more because it's fully enclosed. The motor is all inside. So let's go ahead and flip it over. Let me set this back down on the stop. Okay. We'll flip this over and take a look underneath. It looks like you've basically just got a really thin gauge cover on here with just some screws on it. I can pop those out really quick. Let's take a look and see what's inside. Looks like these are yeah, these are all slid in, so we'll have to take all of them out. Look inside, there's a pretty simple motor. It's kind of partially enclosed. You got a starting cap down here as well. And then this switch assembly here, there's a cover on here I'm gonna say it looks like a thermal trip, so it looks like it might have thermal protection, and that's just used to trip out if this thing gets if there's too much current pulled by the motor. It looks like this might just trip out. Pretty simple. I think there's just a belt under this cover, so go ahead and put this guy back on. Just kind of drops in place like that. All right. So on the back of this, we've actually got a little gauge here. There's kind of a little angle gauge, and then we have the dust port. And it looks like this pulls off of both sides of this. Yeah, so it cups the bottom here. This black part right here is actually attached to the dust collection. So it pulls out of that from the bottom here, and on top it pulls off of this guard right here. So as this is moving, the dust is raked to here. There's a small comb inside here to prevent any large debris from getting kind of wedged down inside of there. And pop the belt cover off of here. So it looks like that comes off fairly easily. Just needs a little unscrew. And the belt's fairly simple. It's just two small pulleys. They've got grooves, so it's just a very small grooved pulley. I'd say that's like maybe 3/8 of an inch, by about 10 millimeters across, and just two small pulleys, almost identical in size. This one's a little bit smaller on the motor side, so this seems to work fairly straightforward. It just drops on, pops into place like that. Not much to it. Just like that. So right out of the box, I'll go ahead and plug it in. Let's make sure it's turned off first. It is off. Okay. Go ahead and turn this on. That seems to work pretty well. No problems there. A little bit of noise, but yeah. So changing the belt's actually pretty easy on this too. All you've got to do is make sure that you're up off of the stop, because if it's resting on the stop, the belt won't slide off. So I'll lift this up a little bit. Make sure we're unplugged too. Unlock this, and the belt should just slide right off. So this is a 36" by 4" belt, and it looks like it comes with an 80 grit belt. So I know it doesn't say anywhere online or on the box what grit belts it comes with, but it comes with one 80 grit belt. And then as soon as you kind of line that up, put that back on, we'll plug it back in. It seems to self-align pretty well from the factory. You've got your tension adjustment up here, just like on the central machinery. There's a second adjustable piece on the side here, I think, to help belt tracking as well, for tensioning if you have a massively different size belt or you make your own. But yeah, other than that, it looks fairly straightforward. So I'll go ahead and get the accessories attached, and we'll try it out on some actual metal. Alright, any issues with this guy? So I've got the belt portion here stood up against its stop, and that puts it right about 90 degrees. Measured with my digital angle gauge between this surface and this angle, and I get like 89.9, so probably within the error margin of my digital gauge. I went ahead and aligned this table to within 90 degrees, so this is 0 degrees, this is 90 degrees, so these are perpendicular. And a couple things I've noticed about this whole setup is that the belt portion itself, there's a little bit of flex in here. So holding the base down here, there's a little flex. I've tightened this piece down as far as it goes, but there is a little flex on this part itself. Also, the table itself can move up and down a little bit. You probably can't see it in the video. At the furthest extent, it probably moves up and down like a 32nd of an inch. But the pivot point on the on this side, this pivot point here for the table is a little loose. So as this moves up and down, the pivot point pops back and forth using the lock here as a pivot. So it doesn't stay perfectly locked into place. Other than that, like it seems pretty nice. It seems fairly stable, and yeah, this might rock a little bit, but I think under use, I don't think that'll be a big issue. Otherwise, it seems like a fairly a fairly well put together device. One other small thing I found with this unit is that the angle control that's used to tilt the entire thing up and down, if you use T-handles like I do, I have a 6mm metric T-handle right here. You can't reach this because the table is in the way. So because this is set inward, this little fastener is set inward, the table becomes in the way. So it's kind of annoying because for this basically you're gonna want to get an L key, a 6mm L key, and just kind of keep that on hand or strap it to the machine somewhere so that when you need to adjust this angle, you can just hit this with the L key. Otherwise, this is going to be useless on here. Alright, to test this out, I've got a 3mm piece of steel here. It's just a scrap piece of steel. It's got some rough edges on it, and I'm going to try to round a corner off and just kind of see how well this works. Got my safety glasses on. Alright, well that actually works surprisingly well for shaping. It's actually fairly cool too. It took the edges off, the sharp edges off really well, and it rounded this corner off very nicely. The belt looks fine. No dings on the belt, which, I mean, this is going to be the belt that comes with. It's cheap, so you'll probably be replacing this with something a little bit better. I know Harbor Freight sells a variety of belts with these. They happen to sell a, I think it's zirconia belt, so it's a little tougher, and as it shears, it will constantly expose fresh, sharp edges of the material that's embedded into the paper. So you'll get constantly a nice fresh edge, and that's what I would go with. But even with the stock sandpaper, this seems to work really well. I'm happy with the results. This is a lot better than the small bench grinder I have, so that's kind of why I've decided to go with something a little bit more substantial. Okay, so overall, it's a pretty good belt sander. It looks like a well-built machine. It feels fairly sturdy aside from this being a little wobbly, as you can kind of see here. I did notice inside the package that has the stop bar. This would normally mount against the belt here if you're intending on freehanding wood or metal or anything on there. This will kind of keep it from being launched off the end of the belt here if you end up losing grip on it. So if this is laid down in that lower position and you're standing on top of it, it'll keep it from launching something across your shop. I actually noticed that in that box it does come with a 6mm L hex key so that you can loosen this guy up like so and rotate him down. Something I might do with that is I might modify this with one of those handles that you can rotate and pull up and move, so that way I can really quickly just twist this, loosen or tighten this guy up so I can pivot this from down to up, since for the most part this will probably be living under my bench. I don't have a lot of space, so everything has to get compact, which this takes up about the same amount of space as my bench grinder, which I'll probably be trading out for this. So the table, not such a big deal on top of here, but the fact that it can fold down and it's fairly compact, that's a huge plus for me. So I think overall this is a pretty good tool. It seems to work well. Obviously I've only had this for a couple hours, so can't tell you too much on it yet, but if I run into any issues, I'll be sure to update this video, or I'll post a link to another video with an update on what my experiences are with this. So if you like what you saw, make sure you check out the rest of the videos on my channel, and thanks for watching.